Moreau, modest lone policeman who has to work in the world where normal people and superheroes live together. The top brass isn't satisfied by the loser's job, but everything changes when Moreau has to admit that he is a superhero too to save the world. After spending the evening with his friends in a bar, superhero Eclipso heads home, but on a dark street someone grabs the guy and he loses consciousness. Hours later, Eclipso wakes up in a strange laboratory, and next to him he sees a shriveled-up guy with a fire smoldering inside him. Moreau, the loser detective, reluctantly turns off his alarm clock and gets ready for work, living in a world where superheroes have become a regular part of society. The guy is very worried about the fact that he doesn't have any superpowers. The cop's first call of the day is to set fire to a nightclub. On the spot, Moreau catches a strange blonde woman whom he thanks for her help and asks her to leave so as not to interfere with his investigation of the crime. As soon as Moreau arrives at the office, he is summoned by the police chief, who is not happy with the guy's progress over the last 10 years. And to fix it, he assigns him a partner, the same blonde from the crime scene. Cecile Schultzman has excellent references, and this greatly annoys the loser, but the girl herself is not thrilled that she will have to work with Moreau. Despite the dislike, colleagues immediately have to start working together in the local lyceum. There was a hostage taking. One of the students, capable of shooting flames, rioted, greatly frightening his comrades. One of the frightened girls, Lily, has to hide in the restroom so that no one sees lightning bolts flying out of her eyes due to tears. The cops arrive on the scene, and Moreau tries to calm down the fiery guy who has cornered the classmates. The detective bravely grabs the superhero's palms and manages to disarm him, taking the strange wands as evidence. Along the way, Cecile reports to her partner that the attacker has an alibi and couldn't have set the nightclub on fire. But this raises even more questions because the same abilities in different people are very rare. Meanwhile, in the secluded corners of the streets gather companies of young people who are supplied with the very sticks, breaking which, young people inhale an unknown powder and get the ability to spew fire. After work, Moreau visits his old buddy, the superhero Henry, whose exploits are far in the past. After preparing food for the old man for a few days, Monroe is about to leave. But before he does, he asks his buddy for help to identify the superhero by his abilities. Henry assures the cop that only the loser, Brazzero, who has spent years in prison and has no children to adopt his gift, can throw flames. Rudy, another Lyceum student, visits his boss, Nadja. The old man is unhappy that the mercenary came uninvited, but the boy assures him that there was a good reason. At the briefing, Morrow proudly tells what he managed to find out about Brazzero, and the boss assigns the detective to follow the ex-convict to find out if he was involved in the arson. To find the superhero, Moreau visits another old friend, Callista. The girl has the gift of foresight, but the visit of the buddy becomes a surprise for her, and she does not hide the fact that she is not very happy about the meeting. Cecile finds the buddy and demands him taking her with him when he tries to find something. But Moreau is only annoyed with the blonde, hoping to get rid of her as soon as possible. The detectives are called in by the CSI. A body from a new fire came to him, and instead of blood, it had the same substance as the one in the student's sticks. More specifically, someone used the kid's blood to produce the substance. Moreau notices the remnants of a tattoo on the body's neck, which he recognizes Brazzero by. For weeks, the cops interview acquaintances of the deceased, but so far they have been unable to learn anything that might help. Noticing Lily, Rudy sits down at her tables and offers her his friendship. When he learns that the girl is feeling lonely, he texts her Nadja's number, promising that it will help her to talk it out. Moreau sends Cecile home, while he himself stays in his office to study the documents and photos from the crime scenes. In one of the photos, the cop spots the guy who started the fire at the nightclub. In the morning, the detectives visit the guy in the hospital, but Amin refuses to admit guilt until Cecile comes up with a story that gets him talking. The guy admits that he and his friend bought the sticks from Ismael. The vendor often sells them near the school. Hearing this, the detectives immediately set out to find the vendor. Not only police officers, but also Nadja's men go to look for Ismael. He suspects the salesman of grand larceny and sends hunters after him. Left alone in his office, Nadja inhales an unknown substance from a stick and a fire runs through his body, which the old man spews from his balcony. The cops find Ismael, but noticing the guests, the guy escapes and the detectives have to organize an operation to capture him right in the store. The seller tries to use the powder from the sticks, but Moreau neutralizes the flames and arrests the criminal. Schultzman tries to interrogate the guy, but he only mocks the cop by giving strange answers. Moreau's attempts also fail, and the detectives realize that they will have to let the guy go unless they find dirt on him. After learning about the powders, Henry tries to ask his buddy for details, but getting no answer, he informs him that he can help looking for information on Brazzero. The old man has learned of another disappearance of the magician Eclipso. Listening to a message from Henry in the store, Moreau hears an explosion and people screaming. Running out, the cop calls for backup and goes in search of the criminals who blew up the police station to get Ismael out. In front of Moreau, one of the criminals stuns Cecile and the girl falls from the second floor. The guy fails to catch her, but from the hand of Schultzman, a strange charge passes into him, and he gently supports the body of his colleague, which freezes in midair. Moreau recalls that this has happened to him before, the night he met Henry. He tries not to mention it in his conversation with Cecile, but over a glass of relaxing drink, the girl still asks him to explain what just happened. Mercenaries deliver Ismael to the boss, and Naya orders to destroy the guy for stealing his goods. To save his life, Ismael turns himself into his boss, Moro, revealing how he saved his partner with the power of his gaze. Despite the information, Naja still destroys the traitor, after which he orders Rudy to find the superhero. Callista notices that her students are up to something, and Alex has to confess that his friends are going to try some forbidden substance. The girl tries to stop the guys, but it turns out to be too late. They inhale a new blue powder and fall to the ground without signs of life. At that moment, the courier informs someone that the dosage was unsuccessful. The blue-colored substance is reported on newscasts, warning citizens of the danger. Police officers also try to stop the spread, using all sorts of methods. Lily's mother comes to see Moreau in tears. The woman reports that her daughter is missing, and the cop is convinced that the cases are connected. He assigns Cecile to take a statement from the woman, and he himself goes to the women's apartment to try to find something, without noticing the tale. During this time, Lily is in a strange laboratory that Eclipso has recently gotten into. All this time, the girl is unconscious, and the IV is slowly downloading her blood for a new substance. The door of the apartment turns out to be open, and inside Moro discovers her friend, Callisto. The girl tells her buddy that her students are dead, but he chases her away, reminding her that she recently refused to help him. Searching Lily's room, Moreau finds a sheet with Naja's number in the trash, and he immediately tries to check it online. As if sensing something wrong, Cecile tries to call her buddy, but she keeps getting an answering machine. When the girl drives up to the house, she is spotted by Callisto and has a vision in it. Schultzman falls into a trap and is destroyed. Naya's mercenaries grab Moreau and give him a sleeping injection before lowering his body down and loading it onto the bus. By this point, Callisto manages to stop Cecile, and the girls follow the criminals, going to rescue a mutual friend. Cecile thinks that they should hurry, but Callisto suggests waiting, and for good reason. A second later, the criminals' bus falls down because of deflated wheels, and some force keeps it from moving. The girls rush to it, and while Callisto fights the bandits, Cecile tries to wake up Moreau. Realizing that they can't get away, Rudy decides to get rid of the ballast, and after firing a few bullets at the cop, he throws him out of the bus. The girls examine their friend's body, and Cecile looks in horror at the bullet wounds, bullets from the bullets rising into the air. Callisto asks her friend to come to her senses, and they take the wounded man to the apartment of Henry, who, like the girl with powers, has always known that Moreau is a superhero. After healing her partner's wounds, Cecile asks for an explanation, and Callisto has to confess everything to her. Many years ago, a squad of superheroes helped the guy to accept his gift. In return, he became their coordinator. But the friendship of the heroes did not last long. Henry began to have health problems, because of which he could not move, and the third hero died because of the ridiculous help Moro, which he tried to provide. While Moreau sleeps, the friends punch in the number found in Lily's room, and it opens the website of the therapist who helped Brazzero. In order not to expose the superhero cop to his superiors, the team prepares a new plan. Henry goes to the doctor under the pretext of a personal problem. Before starting the session, the old man installs a bug in the office, and the company listens to the therapist's conversations for several days, but no clues appear in them for a long time. Cecile heads to the therapist's scientific mentor, and during this time, Henry hears the doctor's conversation with Naja. In it, The doctor demands that the villain stop using her patients and return Lily, but the villain refuses to discuss this with her girlfriend and continues to drain Lily of blood. From the professor, Cecile learns that Elizabeth has spent years studying how superpowers affect the psyche. Once, the parents of a teenage superhero asked the doctor to strip their son of his powers, but it didn't work. The boy still went crazy and got rid of his parents. Callisto follows Elizabeth, and she manages to get pictures of Nadja and his lair. Henry is about to head to the lab that minute, but his girlfriend reminds him that he can no longer be a hero because of his Parkinson's disease. The therapist asks Nadja to let Lily go, but he reminds Elizabeth of how she stripped him of his superpowers. Luckily, the villain allows the doctor to inject the girl with a drug to keep her from dying from blood loss. The company hears Elizabeth report Nadja's crimes to the police, but Cecile fears that it will lead to more victims. They can only hope for Moreau, who is slowly coming to his senses. There are attacks all over the city, and the police report that they are on the lookout for the intruder. Upon learning of this, Nadja orders the mercenaries to remove all the samples from the lab and Lily, who will still be of use to him. The boss also orders everyone to inhale powder to possess superpowers and clear the exit. But that doesn't stop Henry, Cecile, and Callisto from getting in the way of the criminals and fighting them as equals. While the company fights the guards, Nadja leads Lily to the exit. But an obstacle appears on his way. Moreau, having gained strength, joins his friends. It's more difficult to fight with Nadja. He covers himself with a girl and constantly takes blue powder to have superpowers. But that doesn't stop Moreau covering himself with a shield. He looms over the villain. By this point, police outfits appear in the lair, and the rest of the mercenaries are arrested, thinking it's all the merit of the retirees, Henry and Callisto. Lily manages to fend off Nadja with her superpower, and when the guy finds himself without a human shield, Moreau goes on the attack, picking up the villain. The superhero cop lifts him into the sky to strip him of his powers, but in doing so, falls down from a great height himself. To the delight of his friends, the detective manages to survive and returns to the company. Seeing his subordinate in this form, the commissioner orders the superheroes to take the guy away from prying eyes so that he can get an explanation later. All the issues discuss the unknown superhero, reporting that people have nicknamed him Titan. Such a turn does not like the commissioner, and he fires Moreau. But the guy is not upset. He joins his old friends and starts a new life, receiving a real hero mask from Cecile as a gift.
The studio like a student though, working on a movement, yeah, I'll do it cause I'm in the zone. And you know that I'm ready for the shows. How it goes, I don't know, but I'm waiting till I'm chose. Front row, here I go. All these people wanna know what you think of them lately. Do you really love me or do you really hate me? On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you grade me? All this social media has got me